Hi, my name is Rick Brimacombe, and on behalf of the Minneapolis Club and my firm, Brimacombe & Associates, welcome to Club Entrepreneur. Today concludes our 8th season of Club Entrepreneur. Thank you all for making this year a success. Over the last season, which runs from September to June, we've covered topics such as grumpy old VCs, internet marketing, a 20 by 20 session, and for those of you who don't know what that is, 20 slides, 20 seconds a slide, 2020 session, drones, millennials, innovation and creativity, and last month, Internet of Things. The power of Club E lies with all of you, so thanks again. In addition, this group has an amazing team of sponsors. Not only are they accomplished professionals, but they have been incredibly supportive as well. Outside of this room, they have all become friends and trusted advisors of mine, and for that, I'm very grateful. So before we begin today's panel, I'd like to recognize our sponsors. First, the IP law firm, Swagman Lumberg Woosner. Olson Thielen CPA is a full-service accounting firm and their valuation and forensic services group. I know I have a couple people from Olson Thielen. One here, one in the back. Joe in the back. One more time, Joe, give us a raise. All right, and then Helmuth and Johnson, general practice law firm, and I know we have one or two H&J folks back at the back table. Thank you very much. Irish Titan web development and e-commerce company. Oh, Adrian snuck in under the gun there. And then M.A. Peterson, a design build company doing refreshes, remodels, and new builds. And I don't know if anybody made it from M.A. Peterson, not today. Well, anyway, thank you to our sponsors. Without their support, events like this wouldn't happen. So to the extent that you can, please support them. Again, as I've told you all, I've become friends and have interacted with them on many occasions. So please use their services if you can. On the announcement front, anybody who's interested in learning more about the Minneapolis Club, please seek me out. It's been good for me both personally and professionally. So anybody who'd like to learn more about the club, see me. In terms of connecting with the group, there's 3 ways. We got the website, clube.com, and we also have a LinkedIn group, which is Club Entrepreneur-Minneapolis, and these cards on your table point you towards those items. There's almost 1,600 people in the LinkedIn group now, so it's a great way to stay connected. And then also I have an email list, so you can give me an email, your business card, and I'll add you to the email list. One of the things we'll get to in a couple minutes are a couple of 60-second elevator pitches with some emerging sports technology companies. So why don't we use that as our cue for you 4 folks to come on up. And then a reminder, generally speaking, this group meets on the first Thursday of the month. I moved it today to get the panel that I wanted. So generally speaking, it's the first Thursday. With that said, we take off July and August. So I will see you all back on September 10th. And as soon as I told you that it was the first Thursday, that's the second Thursday. And that's because of the holiday in September. And we're going to actually do one of those 20 by 20 sessions in September. If anybody has an interest in presenting, see me. Again, it's 20 slides, 20 seconds a slide. You tell a story. We'll have 6 little mini presentations that day versus kind of one speaker. It's a lot of fun if you haven't seen one of those. And then, as I mentioned last time, I'm going to bring Club Entrepreneur to some new markets, and the St. Paul chapter is going to be the first one. We're going to launch that in September. That's going to be the 3rd Wednesday. Chum Struve, where's Chum? In the back. Chum is going to be the front to that and the figurehead, and going to make that rock and roll. So if anybody wants to learn about the St. Paul chapter of Club E, seek out Chum or myself afterwards. And that leads us to today's panel, Sports Technology in Minnesota. 1972, then Vikings kicker Fred Cox took some new materials technology, Nerf foam, and came up with an idea for the Nerf football. Today, there are at least 30 companies serving the intersection of sports, technology, and business. And when I started and put this panel together, the list I had was about 15. I doubled it, and then with the people that came here today, I probably could add another 10 or so because there are a bunch of folks here today that I didn't have on my list. So there's really a great intersection and cluster being built here in Minnesota on sports, technology, and business. And before we get to our panel, today I've brought you a few of the intriguing up-and-comers with some 60-second elevator pitches. and after we hear them, we will go on to our panel. Guys, I just was going to set it up by alphabetical with the company name. So our first one is Jason Cole of FanMaker.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking some time to hear from us today. FanMaker is, at this point in time, about 7 years old. We run a software program running loyalty programs for sports teams. And this ranges everything from your hometown Minnesota Wild to rugby teams in Australia, soccer teams in the UK, hockey teams in Canada, and even private high schools throughout the South. Our program networks disparate data networks at its core. So we're combining real-time point-of-sale analytics at these venues with ticketing information that are both purchased and sold, overlaying that with socially graphed data and appending Nielsen data and other items purchased by the teams to paint out a fan profile. At our core, our objective is to allow each and every one of our clients to deliver a more personalized experience to their fans. That could be through improved creative, improved messaging, or anything else. When we look at really new trends that we're on, at this point in time, we've installed beacons in more sporting venues than any other company in the world. And these beacons, for us, are allowing us to bring micro-location to be layered upon the Personix we've already been tracking.
I warned everybody. I said I'm going to get the big hook out if you go longer than 60 seconds. So Jason was taking that literally. Dave Herrig is here to talk about Integrity Horse, and that's kind of exciting for me because I've known David for a number of years. Have interacted with him on a couple of different fronts. He's spoken before at Club E, and then also connected up with his industry counterpart on the management team, actually right here at Club Entrepreneur. So with that, Dave Herrig, Integrity Horse.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to try to make this a little interactive. I'm wearing a Jawbone up to. How many people have one of these wearable devices? Fitbit, Jawbone, Nike Fuel Band, half the room. I think it's probably one of the most exciting new areas of sports technology is the wearables-based activity tracking. And it's become so mainstream now. What we're seeing is companies starting to create customized devices for individual athletic activities. Surfboards, snowboarders are coming with their own devices. And about 4 months ago, I'll have her raise her hand, I met Julia Paddock, sitting right back there, working on a really innovative solution specifically for horse riders. About 7 million recreational and professional horse riders in North America, and to date, no company has targeted a wearable device for them yet. The name of the company is called Integrity Horse, and Julia started it nearly 4 years ago, long before wearable tech even caught up to underwrite it. And it's an exciting social impact vision. It's an exciting product. And if you get a chance, I'd invite you guys to single her out afterward and talk about it and hear what we're putting together.
Okay, for those of you who've been here before, I've been able to weave De La Salle basketball into a few conversations over the last couple of years. I've been able to do it again today, so my son Eli is here in the front row, and then Nick Carroll, who's representing Prep Hoops, is also involved with De La Salle basketball, so that's my plug for today. Nick Carroll, Prep Hoops.
So I thought it would be valuable to kind of give a little bit of a backstory to how the company came to be. So my background, I was an assistant Division III coach here locally, and I'm sitting in the coach's office. It's 12:30 at night. I'm by myself, sifting through stats, sifting through all conference teams, trying to figure out honestly who are we supposed to be recruiting. And I already had the information of there's about 150,000 kids a year that are graduating looking to go play basketball at the next level. And there's the top 1% that you guys see on ESPN and Rivals.com. Well, there's another 99% that are going to lower level Division I schools or Division IIs or Division IIIs. And there's a lack of information connection between the schools and the prospects. And so with all that information, we took a shoestring budget. We started our first website just with the goal of being the most comprehensive resource for high school basketball across the state of Minnesota for kids at all levels. So we cover a kid that's going to go play at Hamlin the same as we cover Tyus Jones. And we've people essentially flocked to it. The colleges loved it, parents loved it. Since then, we've expanded. Over the last 18 months, we've started to branch out. We're in 18 markets. Over the last 18 months, we plan to continue our expansion. Once we figure basketball out, we'll be getting into other sports. And so we're really excited about our growth and really excited about the opportunity to be here.
And last but not least is Blaine Tatro. Blaine and I met about 2 years ago at a coffee shop. He was just incubating his idea, so it's been fun for me to see how he's made progress. And with that, again, Blaine Tatro of PrepTree.
All right, thank you, Rick. Imagine a billion-dollar industry without a true market leader, a data-driven industry that hasn't fully evolved to embrace technology. I'm a former college football coach. I coached for almost a decade, and I found that industry, college athletics recruiting, and it was very hungry for a solution. That solution I found, or I created, is called PrepTree.com. PrepTree redefines the college athletics recruiting process by connecting recruits, high school coaches, and college coaches so they can leverage technology to exchange information, video, and communicate online in a form that is currently archaic for that existing process. Ultimately, our application will pair millions of recruits with thousands of colleges so they can establish these fruitful college education and athletic experiences. PrepTree has partnered with the Minnesota Football Coaches Association to enroll nearly 90% of metro area high schools already. Now we are turning to investors to pursue expanding across the rest of the United States. To help accomplish this, we will be soliciting those investors soon, and if you have an interest in what we're doing with PrepTree in regard to redefining the recruiting process, I'd be very interested in speaking with you. Thank you.
Okay, so now as we turn to our panel, I'm excited to say today that we're going to be covering youth sports, professional sports, fantasy sports, and iGaming. Today's panelists are Justin Koffenberg of Sport Engine, Rob Fithian of Sports Radar US, which is formerly Sports Data, Paul Charchian of LeagueSafe.com, and then Tori Simonson is filling in for Chris Carlson. Chris Carlson had a family health issue come up this morning, not life-threatening, but nonetheless, Tori was very kind to sit in for us. And since she's on the sales side, she can probably tell the story better than Chris can anyway. So with that, we're going to give each of the panelists a couple of minutes to give an intro, a little bit of background on their company. Anybody want to volunteer to go first? Rob, you want to tackle it on the far end?
I'm happy to kick it off. Can you guys hear me okay? So before I kick it off, I need to ask a question. If anyone in the room has a sports fanatic that likes to collect data, I've got to hire 50 people in the next 2 months. So come see me. Age 18 to 24 is kind of the age range, and they can pick as many shifts as they want to work. So I've got a lot of hiring to do in the next 2 months. So that's just a shameless plug to start.
Do I get a recruiting fee?
You may. So yeah, my name is Rob Fithian. I've been in the sports space, actually left public accounting and started with Paul Charchian in the fantasy space. We built a company called Fanball. Exited that in 2005?
Yep.
Yeah. So we sold the company in 2005. Paul started his business. I kind of tried a couple things that didn't work out and then focused in on the data space. So if you want a little background on the data space, there's been one official partner in the U.S. for over 15 years, and they're out of Chicago, called Stats. So when I looked at getting into the space, I flew around the country and used my Rolodex and met with all the people that took data from Stats and found out there was a lot of frustration in the monopolistic environment. So I came back to the Twin Cities, decided to lean on my friends at the University of St. Thomas and open up shop right on campus in St. Paul. Wrote a simple business plan that said Stats is 70 million in revenue, cash flow is 30. I want to build a company to start that's $7 million in revenue and cash flows $3 million. So it was a 2-slide presentation and raise money. Data, if you think about it, is immensely scalable because you gather the data once and you sell it over and over again. So 2010, we started the company. We are now servicing over 300 clients, including Facebook, Twitter, and Google. We recently, was in the news about a month ago, struck a deal with the NFL to become the official data distributor for the NFL. So we're going to deploy capital to get closer to the leagues because we believe that in the next 3 to 5 years, there's going to be a lot of interesting data, as we heard about the wearables. I think the leagues will start to use the wearable technology, and we'd like to lock up those rights. So that's really where we see deploying our capital, getting closer to the source of the data. So that's my background.
Thanks, Rob. Justin?
Sure. Justin Koffenberg, Sport Engine. Sport Engine is a company we founded in 2008. It was on the heels of a previous business we had started while we were in school, which was a little bit more of a custom design, custom dev shop. But we got back to focusing on our original passion, which was sport.